Yo, what's up, YouTube? All right, so let's talk about how to climb 514 with 512 strength. I think most people think that you need to be insanely strong to climb 514, but the reality is that I sent my first one with minimal strength. I was probably on-sighting or flashing 511 plus, and I climbed a few 513s already, but like my pyramid was like shit. I probably had climbed maybe five or six 513s, and low end ones. I had never climbed over 13C, and I think I had only done one when I climbed my first 514. So let's dig into how I did that. Okay. First off, my first 514 was Cassiopée. It's a 514 in Quebec, in the Laurentians. I gotta say, even though I wasn't strong, I don't think it was magic, or I don't think it was talent, I don't think it was genetics. I honestly think it was patience, perseverance, and strategy. So it took me about, I don't know, 50 to 75 sessions to climb my first 514. And when I started climbing, I was completely obsessed with climbing 514. I remember when I started off, my first goal when I exited the gym on my first day was to climb 514. I went around the gym and the hardest route was 513. Then I went on my phone and I checked what the hardest routes in the world were, and it was 515. I think the hardest route at the time was La Dura Dura, which is 15C. And I was like, okay, so if the hardest route in the gym is 513 and the hardest route in the world is 515, probably the best grade for me to climb right now is 514. And then I did a little bit more research and I realized that in Quebec, the highest level was 514B. And so I was like, okay, a really good benchmark goal would be to climb 514. And I told myself I want to do that in under 5 years of climbing. According to like the lattice training benchmarks, my level of strength at that time was probably 512 plus. I stopped trying to be strong pretty quick just because it doesn't work for me. It's really, really hard to have strength gains and to keep them. To have strength gains takes years, and to keep them or losing those strength gains takes about 3 seconds. I One thing that works for me is to keep my body primed up. Okay, it's hard for me to get strong, but it's really easy for me to get primed up. What I mean by that is I do maybe let's say one or two hangs, one or two sets of shoulder presses or shoulder extensions, whatever you want to call them, and I feel like my body will get primed really easily. But if I do that really often, I feel like I'll get injured pretty quick. And so I have a hard time gaining strength, but I have an easy time feeling strong with the strength that I have, if that makes sense in any way. It's personal feeling, it might not be scientific, but that's how I feel. Um, so when I tried my first 514, I didn't train generally. Okay, I climbed Cassiopée and asked myself, what does it take to climb Cassiopée? So I built a very specific training program for Cassiopée, and it was very simple. For Cassiopée, you need to have finger or crimp strength, or you need to feel good in your fingers, or you need to feel good in the crimp position, and you need lower trap strength for two moves. The two crux moves in Cassiopée for me were number one, grabbing a undercling thumb catch thing in the first crux, and in the second crux, it was grabbing a shoulder move with the right hand. Those two moves felt similar, and they were taxing the same muscles. And so after or before sessions, it wasn't, I don't really remember, but I don't think it was very specific. But at least a couple times a week, I would do a few sets of dumbbell Ys, and I would do a few sets of unrecommended full crimp hangboarding. At the time, there was not very much literature about how to gain strength. So I was doing what felt right, and what felt right were those two things. Um, I knew I also needed endurance, but I told myself that I would build endurance by climbing the route, which worked, but it took a lot of time. And so, yeah, I wasn't doing very much lock offs. I wasn't doing very much core strength or squats or whatever. I was just doing those two exercises. And that to me was like the important thing. I also needed quite a bit of hip mobility because the crux of Cassiopée is all about staying close to the wall and being able to use your feet correctly and finding tension in those positions. Um, I think the one thing that helped me, the thing that helped me the most was patience. Like I said, it took me about 50 or 75 sessions to climb Cassiopée, and I think that everybody quits too early. That everybody quits too soon. It's ridiculous. I've heard so many times, I gotta get stronger to do this, which is stupid, okay? Too often, I've seen people try a move, say it was impossible, and finally do it like 10 tries later. You do not get stronger in 10 minutes. You do not get stronger in 10 tries. You do get better, a lot better. Your body knows how to climb, okay? You just gotta expose yourself to it. It's not that complicated and it's not that hard. You just gotta try. You just gotta try more. And that was 100% my mindset on Cassiopée. Try it more. Go more often. And so I chose Cassiopée for two main reasons. It was close to my place and it's the first 514 in Quebec. I wanted to be part of that history. I wanted to make sure that I stomped my foot on the 514 scene in Quebec. I wanted to make sure that I was a climber that was at the top level of Quebec sport climbing. And so Cassiopée was the route I chose to do that. And I told myself one thing and one thing only. Do not quit, okay? Keep going, keep trying. Find micro adjustments, make the moves easier. Do not fall into the I gotta get stronger for this mindset. That's such a crappy mindset. Too often I've seen climbers quit because they're not strong enough. And ultimately, they quit for the wrong reasons. They just don't try often enough. They're not patient. Um, so yeah, like that was my mindset on Cassiopée, and that is 100% the reason why I climbed 514 with 512 strength. Like I'm sure if I test myself right now, I climb 513. You know, if I check like the benchmarks that Lattice Training gives you to climb a certain grade, to me that's complete fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. It's just it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so easy to tell somebody get stronger to climb stronger. It's so easy and it's safe. It's so safe. If you're a coach, you don't want your athletes to get injured. I'm a coach. That's like my life. My life is coaching, and I've said it before to many athletes: get stronger, and then you'll climb harder. And it's such a safe thing to say because if you get stronger, you're less likely to get injured. But the reality of things is that climbing is not about strength. Strength helps for two reasons. You pull harder and you don't get injured. So yeah, of course, strength can help. But the real essence of climbing is strategy and technique. If you have these two together and you learn how to read the environment, you learn how to read routes, and you learn how to use your body on tenuous holds or tenuous movements, that's how you're going to climb harder. If you spend too much time hangboarding, you're just going to get super strong and all your projects are going to feel fucking easy. But that's not limit. Those are not limit projects, okay? If you want to climb at your limit, you don't get stronger. You got to find something that's at your limit and you got to learn how to climb it. And that's exactly what I did on Cassiopée. I found it. I tried the moves. It took me years and sessions to find the exact way to do every move. I remember When I started climbing Cassiope, I had a session, maybe 10 sessions in. I had a session where there was this dude, and the guy was pretty close to doing the route. And ironically, okay, he never climbed the route, and I did. On that session, he was able to do every move. He was able to move through the crux. I was getting flailed on every single move. It was ridiculous. Like, I was falling on every move. But I had such a positive mindset because I was that much closer to doing every move, every session. And I remember that day I said, wow, I'm getting so close. He probably thought I meant like on the route, but what I meant is on that specific move. And I remember he said, ha, it doesn't show from down here. Fuck, like super arrogant, whatever. And I took it personal, and I was like, hey, you know what, dude? I'm gonna climb this route before you do, because I have perseverance and I have patience, and I am ready to go through the process that it takes to climb this route. And like I just said, I climbed it, and he never did. He never succeeded to climb that route. So look, if you want to go through the process of infinite hangboarding and infinite weight training, do it. If that's what makes you feel good, do it, okay? For me, it doesn't work. What makes me feel good is learning how to climb. It is so undervalued to learn how to climb these days. You see climbers, they start climbing, they're like 1 month in, and they're already spending half of their sessions in the training room. Why are you doing that? It's ridiculous. You should be spending all of your time on the wall, learning how to climb. Adam Ondra has said it so many times. If you want to climb strong, learn how to climb. Do not get stronger. If you get stronger, you're not going to learn how to climb. You're going to learn how to butcher your climbs and get through with pure strength. You're never going to learn how to climb at your limit, and that's not helpful, okay? Climbing at your limit is where you learn, is where you expose your body to difficult situations, and that's where you learn perseverance, and that's where you learn to be patient, and that's when you learn how to get better at climbing, okay? Climb at your limit. Do not waste your time overtraining. The goal was to be able to try 100% and not be scared of getting injured. That's it. I didn't want to get stronger. I knew that I was strong enough to do the route, even though all the tests and everything, all the numbers today would say the opposite. I know it's bullshit. I know it's not true. And I know that the way to get better at climbing is to put yourself through really difficult climbing. Difficult for you, okay? And so stop thinking about benchmarks and stop thinking about what you need to climb 514 or what you need to climb 513. What you need to climb 513 is to get on a route that inspires you and to try it many, many, many times. Be patient. Do not be scared of being like, oh, it took me 50 sessions to do a route, okay? It's not because everybody's like, oh, I did like 514 in 3 tries that you need to be the same person, okay? It's your process. If you want to climb 514 and you're not at that level right now, find a 514 and start trying it. And do not be scared to be there often. Do not be scared to spend a lot of time on something. It's not a waste of time. That's how you learn. The more often you do something, the better you get at it. It's not complicated, okay? All that being said, both work, okay? There's people that train a lot and get stronger. I think I read a quote one time where Wolfgang Gulich, that was his, or Gulick, whatever, that was his main mindset. He would train a lot and then try his route. Train a lot, try his route. Train a lot, try his route. And that worked. It worked really well. He's the first climber to have climbed 514D, which is insane. Action Directe is stamped in history. It's beautiful. His way of doing it was insane. But that doesn't change the fact that he spent a lot of time on his routes. He spent a lot of time in the Franken-Jura learning how to climb. And, might I add, Franken-Jura is an extremely injury-prone place to climb because it's pockets, it's tenuous, it's strength-based. And so, for sure, okay, if you want to not get injured at Franken-Jura, maybe your level has to be a bit higher than the routes. But that's not the reality for everything, Okay, if you're looking more at like power endurance routes, you gotta learn how to flow through that route. You gotta learn how to move well and move fast and milk your rests. That's how you learn. That's how you climb hard on endurance. That's how you are able to stack multiple cruxes one after the other. Okay, you don't do that from getting strong. So many times I've seen people be so much stronger than me and not even be able to do 2 or 3 hard moves in a row because they're off on every sequence, and then by the third move they're like 100% off and they fall off, you know, and they don't take the time to learn. They're just like, they fall and they're like, oh fuck, I'm not strong enough. What the fuck? Stop. Just keep trying. Do not be scared to fail. Failing is when you learn. You don't learn when you're hangboarding. You might get strong when you're hangboarding, but you don't learn, okay? You learn when you're on the rock, when you're out there talking to people, and when you're learning when you're defining your beta. That's the essence of hard sport climbing. That's it. That's all. Thank you. That was my little rant for today.